Welcome to the next lecture in electrical machines. We were discussing the synchronous motor, and in this particular lecture we are going to cover the topic motor on load with constant excitation. So first we will see the basic phenomena of a DC motor, and then we are going to compare it with synchronous motor. So in the DC motor, we first give the supply voltage V, which produce a back EMF EB. This result in the resultant voltage in the armature, which is V minus EB. Now special note we have to give here is that both V and EB are basically scalars, and the resultant voltage in the armature is basically the scalar difference of V minus EB, whereas the current that is flown in the armature is basically V minus EB by RA. We know that current is basically voltage by the total impedance. So impedance here in the DC machine is basically represented only with the resistance of the armature, and V here represent the net resultant EMF across the armature, which is basically V minus EB. So V is the supply voltage and EB is the back EMF. We also know that the value of the back EMF basically depends upon the speed. We know the formula for EB is equal to 5Pn by 60 into Z by A. So from this equation we can see that the back EMF is proportional to the speed. It means that by changing the speed of the machine, we can change the back EMF. Also, the mechanical power developed by the machine is the product of the back EMF and the armature current, because the power is basically the product of voltage into current. Now, having known the important characteristic and the principle of operation of the DC motor, we can understand how the synchronous motor is different from DC motor in operation. The first difference is the back EMF, which is set up in the armature, is by the rotor flux and it opposes the voltage. So here if we see the back EMF, which is set up by the supply voltage, however here the back EMF is set up by the rotor flux. In both the cases the back EMF is opposing the supply voltage. The back EMF depends on rotor excitation only and not on the speed as in DC motor. So back EMF is not the function of the speed in the synchronous motor, whereas in the DC motor if we see the back EMF will depend on the speed. Also the net voltage in the armature is basically the difference of the vectors V and EB. So here we have in DC motor we were having the scalar subtraction, whereas here we have the vector difference. So that is the main difference between the DC motor and the synchronous motor. And similarly, when we were trying to find the current in case of a DC motor, on the denominator we were having the armature resistance, but in case of the synchronous motor, since it is an AC machine, we will be having the net synchronous impedance. So we know that the synchronous impedance will be having a real part, which is the armature resistance, and there will be a synchronous reactance as the imaginary part. So the current which we are going to obtain as the armature current will be the vector difference of the voltage and the back EMF, which was in the scalar in case of a DC motor, and divided with the synchronous impedance, which was the resistance in case of a DC motor. So this was the basic difference between a DC motor and a synchronous motor. Now we are going to discuss few cases, like when the motor synchronous is under no load and has no losses. This will be the first point of discussion. Second point will be when the motor is under no load and but it has losses. Third point is when motor is loaded. So first we will discuss what happened in the synchronous motor when it is under the no load condition and it has no losses. So if we see the vector diagram for the no load and no losses cases for a synchronous motor, we will find that the field excitation will make the back EMF is equal to the supply voltage, and the vector difference of EB and V will be 0. If the vector difference is 0, obviously the current which is flowing in the armature will be 0, because the vector difference of V and EB is 0. So the motor intake is 0 and there is no current being taken by the motor. So there are no losses as well. Whereas in the second case, if we see there is no load but has losses, here the motor back EMF will fall back by a small angle alpha. So if we see here in the first case, the EB and V was anti-parallel, opposite of each other, but there is a small angle alpha which EB falls back. Now, in some cases, we discuss it as delta in some book, which is known as the load angle or the torque angle. Now, certain angles we have to know that is alpha or delta as represented by some book, and there will be theta and there will be phi. So, alpha, delta, whatever we say, is the angle between the back EMF EB and the supply voltage V. Theta is the angle between the resultant EMF ER and the armature current IA, whereas phi is the power factor angle, which is the angle between the supply voltage V and the armature current IA. So these three angles we will be using in case of a synchronous motor to understand the dynamics. So under the no load and losses condition, our EB falls back by a small angle alpha, which is known as the load angle or the torque angle, and the resultant EMF ER and IA brought into existence and supplies the losses. So here there was no ER concept because the ER was basically 0. Now here ER, that is the resultant EMF, is there, and hence there will be some losses because the armature current is drawing by the motor. Whereas in the load condition, when the motor is under the load condition, then the rotor further falls back by a greater alpha. That is, when the load will increase, so as the load will increase in the motor, then the alpha or the delta, that is the torque angle, load angle, coupling angle, by different names we know it, so it will increase. So the motor will understand that yes, the motor has been loaded by increase in the value of alpha. Then the resultant EMF ER and IA increase at slightly decreased power factor. So as the load on the motor is increased, then the resultant EMF also increase and the motor draws more current at a decreased power factor. So these three cases we have to understand the dynamics of the synchronous machine. Now we will see what will happen if the synchronous motor especially is operating with different excitations. We know that synchronous motor has the tendency to operate at different excitation, which is not possible in case of the induction motor. In case of induction motor, it operates only under the lagging power factor condition. So three different excitations we will going to discuss. One is the normal excitation and under excitation, and the third case we are going to discuss is the over excited synchronous motor. So the synchronous motor can have three different type of excited conditions. There is the normal excitation, under excitation, and over excitation. Under the normal excitation, you will be having the back EMF which is equal to the supply voltage, and it will be under the lagging power factor condition. Whereas under the under excited condition, the back EMF will be less than the supply voltage and it will be under the lagging power factor condition. Over excited case, it will be either the leading condition or it will be under the unity power factor condition. So this will not be lagging, it will be leading condition. So under the overexcited condition, yeah, our back EMF will be more than the supply voltage. So if you notice here, under the under excitation condition, the back EMF was less than the supply voltage, whereas under the overexcited condition, the back EMF is more than the supply voltage. Also, the power factor can be either leading or unity. It means that the current will be leading the voltage if it is the leading power factor condition. The current and voltage will be in phase with each other if it is under unity power factor condition. But for the normal excitation and under excitation, since it operates under the lagging power factor condition, the current will always be lagging the voltage. So these are the three different excited conditions. Now we are going to understand the phasor diagram of the lagging power factor condition, leading power factor condition, and the unity power factor condition of the synchronous motor. So basically we are going to understand how we obtain the back EMF EB under the three different cases, that is the lagging power factor condition, leading power factor condition, and unity power factor condition. First we will understand the lagging power factor condition, that is the case A here. So since it is a lagging power factor condition, the current will lag the voltage by an angle of phi. So this is the power factor angle, and there will be an angle theta which is between the resultant EMF ER and the armature current IA. So if we see the phasor diagram, we can obtain the value of EB from the right angle concept here. So once we form the right angle triangle, we can obtain the value of AC square is equal to AB square plus BC square. So in this particular right angle triangle, we have the value of A here and B here and C here. So the value of AC is basically our EB, which is the hypotenuse, and if we understand what is the value of the perpendicular and the base, we can easily obtain what is the value of EB. So the value of AB, basically AB, if we are trying to obtain, so AB will be equal to OA, that is the vector starting from the origin O to A minus we have the value of OB. So OA is basically the total supply voltage, and we have to obtain the value of OB. So OB first we have to obtain. So OB is basically the resultant EMF ER into the sine of theta minus phi. Whereas the value of AB, if we obtain by subtracting the supply voltage and the value of OB, that is ER cos theta minus phi square. So here we have the angle phi between the voltage and the current, and theta is the angle between the resultant EMF and the current. So the value of theta minus phi will be the actual angle between the voltage and the resultant EMF. That is the angle. So we can resolve that angle into the ER cos theta minus phi and ER sin theta minus phi. So in this way we can obtain what is the value of the back EMF EB, and also we can obtain what is the value of the load angle alpha. So load angle alpha is basically, you can see tan inverse of BC by AB, because this is a right angle triangle, and we can obtain the tan angle is equal to tan inverse of perpendicular, that is BC, by base, that is AB. We know the value of BC is equal to IA ZS sin theta minus phi, whereas the base is basically B minus IA ZS sin cos of theta minus phi. So under the lagging power factor condition, we can obtain what is the back EMF and what is the angle, load angle alpha. So these two are very important to understand the load condition, because as the load increase, obviously the load angle will increase. Now we will understand what is under the leading power factor condition. Leading power factor condition means here the current will lead the voltage V by an angle of phi, and when we will be having the angle between the resultant EMF and phi is equal to theta, whereas the angle between the resultant EMF and the voltage will be the value of alpha. So first we will obtain the value of EB from the triangular concept. So we will be getting the value of EB as V plus IA ZS cos of 180 minus theta plus phi. So appropriately using the triangle rule, we will be able to obtain. So here we have the real part, and on the imaginary part we have IA ZS sin 180 minus theta plus phi. So this is for the leading power factor condition. Whereas for the unity power factor condition where the voltage and the current are in phase with each other, then in that particular case we try to obtain what is the value of EV. So EV we are getting as V minus IaRa as the real part, and on the imaginary part we are having J times Ia excess. So these three cases, lagging, leading and unity power factor condition, we will be trying to get the value of the back EMF and the load angle. Now special note we have to make here is that if the value of excess is equal to 0, then we are getting the value of EB as V minus IaRa alone. It means that when excess is basically 0, it is the case of the DC motor, and we are getting only the difference between V minus IaRa. Due to the presence of excess, that is the synchronous reactance, that makes it to be a synchronous motor. So in this particular lecture, we have focused on the excitation conditions, and we have understood the phasor diagram for the lagging, leading and unity power factor condition. See you in the next lecture. Thank you for now.